Hey guys, what's up? It's Jamie. In this video we're actually going to be building an app together using Angular Material and Firebase. I don't know if you can hear that, by the way. That's fireworks. It's the 4th of July, so go America. So the idea today is going to be an idea submitter where users can submit their ideas to this app, and then eventually there might be some sort of ranking system, but for now I'm just going to make it populate like the most recent, and then hey, you just write an idea and then you submit it and then everyone can see it. So let's get into this. Alright, the app so far is just the result of Angular Firestore setup. So check out that video if you haven't already. So basically I want to do some front-end design first. So basically at the top I want like a box where you can put in your idea, and then below that we'll just have like the ideas just one after the other, and then some ... towards the end of the page, and then it will like load more as you scroll down further, probably. Who knows if we'll get that far, but yeah, it's an idea submitter basically. Alright, so the first thing we need to get this up and running is we need some components from Angular Material just for some basic UI. So I'm going to go over to the input section and just grab one of these form fields and paste that into my example just to speed it up. So we're going to go into the home page, which just says hello world right now, and paste that in. And it looks like it says favorite food right now. I don't want it to say that. I want it to say, what great idea do you have today? So this is where the user types in their idea. And then I'm going to use ngModel to bind this to a variable in the scope called myIdea. Alright, and then instead of the TypeScript, I'm going to declare a variable to hold that idea. So that's my idea, and initially it's going to be the empty string. Okay, refreshing the app, see if we have any errors. We do. ngModel, so I think we need to import some things in our module file in order to get this to work. And I think that's the forms module, as well as the reactive forms module. More fireworks, great. And I need to import that down here too. And we'll import mat form field module. And we also need to import the mat input module. There we go, we'll retry that. And there it is. Okay, so here's our nice input. Right off the bat, I want to give it some better styling. And so we're going to give this a width of like 100%. Great. So refresh that, and great. So the user will type in their idea here, and then they'll press return and submit it. Okay, so let's work on that part. Let's first make a function in here called submit. Or at the very end, it's going to set my idea to be the empty string, just so that it clears the user input. Okay, and then if we put this mat form field inside of a form, then we can listen to the onSubmit event. So with that inside, we should listen to that event. So let's check that that works. Okay, so it looks like it wants us to add a name to our input. That's fine. So I'll just say name equals idea. Okay, it looks like that's working, and then press enter. It looks like our event isn't working. Maybe we need a actual submit button. Let's try that out to see if that will make the other thing work. So I'll declare a button here. It's going to be a mat raised button with the color set to accent. And if you haven't seen my video on Angular Material theming, be sure to check that out. Okay, so we need that type equals submit. Oh, it looks like, so I added a log for when we click submit, and it looks like it is calling submitted. So it looks like my idea isn't properly bound here. Oh, silly me, guys. I forgot to put parentheses inside of the ng model, like they do in their example here. So yeah, that was my bad. So it wasn't binding to the model correctly. So back on the site, we see that pressing submit clears it, as well as pressing enter also triggers submit. Okay, so now I press enter, and then it calls submit, and then we can clear the text. So great. So now we need to do the actual Firebase part, which is submitting the idea to an ideas collection. Okay, so that's really pretty easy. All we gotta do is say this.db.collection, and then we'll say the collection name is ideas. And then we don't really need a query function, so we can just say add, and then we'll add in the idea, and all we really need is like when the idea came from, so like a timestamp. We'll declare that in a second, and then the second variable we need is the actual idea, so we'll just say, we'll call this text, and then that'll just be this.myIdea. And typically you want to set the timestamp on the back end using a cloud function, but for this example we're just going to do it on the front end. And that's just for security reasons, because like technically they could modify the timestamp and make sure their idea is always on top. But we don't really care, this is just an example app. So, alright, so I have this really handy little snippet here which allows you to get a UTC timestamp, so that all the dates that you submit to the server, they're all uniform. It's like if one person's in Australia and one person's in the United States, they both submit timestamps. This will make sure that they are sane and that they are in the correct order, basically. So you want to make sure to do this sort of thing if you're doing timestamps. You always want to store them in UTC format. Alright, so we got the UTC date, and we got the idea, and now we add it to the collection like so. Alright, so let's test that out. So here we will submit idea 1, and we'll submit that, and then we'll go open the Firebase. Inside of the database, looks like it wants us to create a database, which is weird. So maybe if that's the case, maybe our app errored. But anyway, we just got to set up this database by simply clicking this. I'm going to start it in test mode, which means that you allow reads and writes to everything, which is fine really because it's just an example app. But if this is a production app that you're building, you'll definitely want to set up user rules for like who can write to what. So like for us it just says allow read write to everything, but you don't really want that if it's a production app, so maybe in the future I'll do a video about that. Alright, so let's retry submitting an idea. Oh, and looks like there's our error. Okay, so it did error out from before, but now I'm going to submit a new idea. I'll call it idea 1 again. Submitted. Alright, let's check that out over here. Refresh this. Normally you don't have to refresh, but since the collection didn't exist yet, I will have to refresh. Okay, so there's our ideas collection. So the pattern for Firebase apps is it's always collection, document, on and on. So the first one is ideas, which is a collection. The first thing inside of that is a document, which is really just like a JSON object, you can think of it. And then there's our text, idea 1, and then there's a timestamp, July 4th. Great. Alright, so next we need to declare an ideas observable, which that's just the type you need to give it when you say that you want to listen to value changes to ideas. This may be kind of confusing if this is the first time you've heard it, but basically we're saying we would like to listen to changes to the ideas collection. Alright, so that's this collection right here. So every time this changes, we're going to get notified, and this object is going to be represented by those changes. So now we have our ideas array, and we can just treat that like a regular array inside of our HTML. And then I think it'd be nice to have like a mat card. And we don't really need like all of this stuff, we just kind of need the header. So the subtitle can just be the idea date, or I think it's called timestamp. Alright, and then up here it's going to be idea dot text, I think I called it. So we're grabbing the text and the timestamp, and we're setting them as the title and the subtitle of the card. Okay, and then we need one card for every idea of ideas. Okay, so it's a card for every idea in our collection. And I lied a little bit before when I said we could treat ideas the same way as like a regular array, because it's an observable. The way you fix that really easily is you just pipe it through async like this. And that'll allow you to treat the observable as a regular array in this instance. If we refresh our page, we see we have our first idea, so this looks pretty good. Although we have this weird timestamp object, the idea at least looks good. Okay, and then the way I'd like to solve the timestamp issue to make it look a little better is by running it through a pipe like this. So I just grab the seconds from that object, multiply it by 1,000 to get the number of milliseconds, and then run it through this pipe called time ago. And then what time ago is just an npm package, which I really like. So it's called time ago pipe. And then once that's installed, we just go inside of our module file, we import the time ago pipe like so, and then that'll resolve once it's installed. And then inside of our providers, we time ago pipe, and we also add it to the declarations up here. Alright, and then I'm going to rerun the server. Okay, great. So now it says idea 1 was submitted 20 minutes ago. And then we'll insert another one. Alright, so it looks like it's ordering it in reverse. So I'm going to try and change that. So when we make our query here for this collection, I'm going to pass a query function which looks like this. Okay, and I want to make sure to order the query using order by timestamp, and that's going to be descending order. Okay, so refreshing the page, it looks like there it is. They're in reverse order now. Okay, and just to make this a little more bearable, I'm just going to make the idea submitter limit to like 100, just so that it doesn't blow up. But like realistically, you'd probably want to introduce pagination, like maybe paginate every like 50 ideas or something like that with next buttons. But that's beyond the scope of this. Alright, so this is the idea submitter. You can come here if you actually have an idea and you want to submit it. I'm going to publish the URL and leave it in the description below. But it's mostly just for educational purposes, but if you actually like the idea and you want to submit ideas to it, that's cool too. Let me know if you like this video and you'd like to see more videos like this. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.